All right, what's good, YouTube? Derek here with another video. Hope everybody's doing well. So I just want to do this video real quick, you guys, to show you guys how I would buy my first property if I was looking to get started in 2025. So if I was looking to buy my first property in 2025, this is what I would do. So I would go on Zillow, but actually before I do that, you know, I want to do this video because so many people might be struggling or might not even know like where to get started. So I really want to do this video just to really show you guys, how easy it is to get started in the game. It's an easy process, but it does require a lot of things to be done properly. And when I say properly, I mean like you have to execute on having your credit right. You have to execute on having the right agent. You have to execute on knowing what you want and being able to be pre-qualified for what you can afford, and also just being patient. And when me and my wife first started, we struggled with the patience with all these things because we didn't know we were the first people in our family to buy rental property. My mom owned a house and my grandma owned a house, but nobody in my immediate family owned rental property. So I had to figure this out myself. And that's why I want to do this video to show you guys just the gist of how easy it can be, but there are steps that needs to be done for this to be, for you to be successful in getting your first property. And then, of course, renovating it if it needs renovations, finding tenants, figuring out how much you should charge for your rental property, whether you want a house hack, which is live on one side and let the other side pay for itself, or if you already own a house and you can just buy a whole nother property, and so basically if you already live in your own house, you can buy another property. It can be a duplex, threeplex, fourplex, or it can be another single family. It's up to you, but there's different ways to do it. But I wanted to show you guys how I would do it if I was starting out in 2025. Right now, what I would do, and I would still take the same approach I took back in 2018, which would be buy a duplex, because I strongly, strongly believe that the best way to get started is to do it that way. That way you can help, supplement, you know, the income that's needed to pay for that mortgage or that house because before you are doing this you probably were renting, or maybe you already owned a house or you were living with a relative, so it can be a little scary. You're buying a piece of property. You might not have ever been a landlord before, so there's some uncertainties there, and our program shows you how to deal with all those things. We show you guys how to find tenants, how to find the right property, how to get them at the right price. But I want to give you guys a little sneak peek of that, but also just give you guys understanding on this is how you do it. It can be done, and it's not that hard. So yeah, back to what I was going to. So if I was starting today, I would be using this platform, Zillow, and Zillow is my go-to mainly for rental properties and just properties that I want to look at, even if it's just to own because we're looking to buy house in Georgia. But so I use Zillow, we use Zillow all the time. But it's probably one of the best search engines for finding a house that I can think of. There's also Trulia, Realtor.com. Agents have access to the MLS, which is, a database for realtors to find houses and search houses. But this is what we use. So, bam. So, like I told you guys, I'm super, super big on duplexes first, especially starting out. But even after you get your first house, like say after, I got my duplex, I wish I would have bought another one. It's because you got multiple doors under one roof, so that's more income, coming in. So, I'm in Rochester, New York, so I will be, looking for a duplex in Rochester, New York. And really, if I can go back in time and do this how I really wish I could have, I would have bought a 3 or 4 unit because your first house you can get so cheap. There's programs, first time home buyer programs, FHA loan programs, and basically a first time home buyers program allows you, to get into a house very cheap. There's banks that will match your money. So every dollar that you save towards your house, they'll match you $4 or $5, or they'll help you with your down payment. Or FHA, it allows you to put 3.5% down on the house. And the program that we use, we put 5% down on our first house. So, instead of me buying a duplex, my first house was 100 and was it 12,000? I would have bought a three on it that might have been, let's say, 150,000 or 180,000, but I'm only having to put, 3% down or 5% down on that property versus putting it down on, that 100 and what I say, 12,000. Because you can only do this once. You know, you only got one shot at this, so you only can, do the first time home buyers once because you're only a first time home buyer once. So I would have used the opportunity to get a bigger house with more units in it. That way I can leverage those units, at a cheaper price, at a cheaper entry in the door with that cheaper down payment. But it is what it is. But hopefully, you guys watching this video, you guys can, if you're interested in taking this method, you guys will do that. You guys will, get your first, house and make it be a 3 unit or 4 unit, like I wish I would have. But I like Zillow because it allows you to really just let me move this. Let me come on. All right. I really like Zillow because it allows you to search your criteria down to so many different ways. You can search it for price, bedroom size, and in my case, home size. So we're gonna get rid of townhouses, condos, townhouses. We'll keep apartments and multifamilies because that's what I would look for in my first property. And price is very important because you need to have an idea what your max price you want to pay for your property. And that also comes from how much you can afford, what you're pre-approved for, how much money you make. Your bank will help you, your mortgage broker originator, they will help you, you know, once you submit your information, what you can afford based on your income, tax returns, all that good information, they'll ask you for that. So we're just gonna see what comes up. So I put uh multifamily apartments. Actually, we'll just go multifamily because we don't want to get a 20 unit or anything like that starting out. So yeah, let's just see what comes up. Excuse me. So we hit search, and this is what's coming up right now. So of course, these prices are a lot higher than when I got started because when I got in the game, it was 7 years ago. So, that's why I'm urging y'all to get started now. Like the longer you wait, the more expensive these houses will be, the more competition you will have. But you can still get in the game and make something happen. But I just like if this is something you really want to do, I highly recommend you definitely watch my videos, check out our master class, but just get in the game because you're running, I'm not gonna say you're running out of time, but they're not making more land. And in a lot of these cities, in Rochester anyway, they're not building more multifamily apartments. They're not building, really any more houses. But certain cities they are, but then that's where the cost comes in. So um, one thing that's important too is the area. Now, this is my city, this is where I live, so I have a good idea like where I would want to buy it and where I would want to live, especially if I'm going to live in this investment property. And also, I want a good area because I want to attract good quality tenants. If you're in a bad area or if you're in a bad neighborhood, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot expect to get good quality tenants because you're not in a good area. That doesn't mean you won't get or find a good quality tenant, but it'll be a lot harder because certain people want to live in certain areas and certain people can only afford to live in certain areas, which, gives you more or less quality people in that area. So that's something to think about. Now, me, I like to live on the west side of the city. This is the 19th ward. And I like this area also just because I live over here, but also because this is near the airport. So a lot of times, what I notice in a lot of cities that whenever you are able to buy a property or have some kind of investment property near the airport, you usually do a lot well because it gives you more options for people that want to, travel, like doctors or people that are, coming out of the country or they're traveling to different states or whatever, you have more options for people that want to live in that area. You have more options for what you can use your property for, Airbnb, midterm rental. You have more options. So I like to be by the airport because it gives me more opportunities to make money and more options to make more money with my property. Because you don't want to be locked in on, I can only rent this property out long term. Because sometimes you can't find a long-term tenant. Sometimes things happen, but that's the flexibility of rental property and just owning property is that, well, it's kind of dead right now, for tenants. I mean, you might be in the dead of the winter, so you might need to be more creative. You might need to do Airbnb for a little while, or you might need to do short-term rentals, which is, I mean, midterm rentals, I'm sorry, which is nurses or traveling professionals or something like that. So it gives you more options, but if you're in a bad area, that's not going to happen because people won't want to come to those areas because they're unsafe. They might not be by the hospital. And that's the other reason why I like this area because it's not only by the airport, it's by the hospital. Strong Hospital is somewhere over here. Highland Hospital is not far from here. So there's multiple opportunities for me to have people come to this area that are interested in living in this area, traveling to this area, or whatever the case may be. So over here, and like I told you, these prices are a lot higher than they were before. But let's see what we got. So I'm a big fan of 3 and 3s. I like three bedrooms, one bathroom on each side, but sometimes you can't get that. But even a 2 and 2 is fine. That's what my wife started out with. I had a 3 bedroom, one bathroom. She had a 2 bedroom, one bathroom. Um, so I'm kind of going with these two. I would look at this one. This is something I would strongly consider if I was looking for a duplex right now. And as you see, it's 2 on 1. You got one unit right here, one unit right here. It's on separate porch, but it's one roof. And that's the beautiful thing is when that roof goes bad, you're replacing one roof versus if you had two separate houses, you got two separate roofs, you got two separate, basements, you got a lot of this can be done at once or it can be done in one fix versus going to multiple places. You got everything in one place. If there's something going on here, you can address it. If it's going on here, you can address it. You don't have to drive to multiple houses. That's the reason why I like duplexes. So this one is 169. Um, to give us a estimated more, yeah. So your mortgage would be 1,076. Now, one thing I like to do when I'm looking at duplexes, especially when I was first starting out, I would look at what am I currently paying in rent. So 9 times out of 10, you are probably paying less than this mortgage amount in rent. Especially if you're living in Rochester, I don't know too many people that's paying anything below $1,000 for rent. So me, when I first got started, I was paying 655 in rent. And my mortgage when I bought my house was a little bit more. It was actually like 1,005, 1,007, something like that. So it was a little bit more, but like I told you guys, once my tenant moved in, I was able to use her income to pay for that mortgage payment, and I was able to make some more money on the side. And forgive me because I know I said it a lot, so you guys might be new to my channel, but when I bought my first duplex, I rented my side out to a Section 8 tenant. She was a pretty good tenant. I rented my side out for $1,250. My mortgage was, let's just say $1,000. So I used her $1,250 to cover my mortgage, which left me with $250. And then I was able to keep that $250. I no longer had to pay that $655 of rent because I owned the house now, and she was covering my mortgage. So potentially I could have, which I did, I pocketed that $655 that I would have been paying. I kept that money as if I was paying rent. I kept that money in the account, paid myself every month plus her $250. So that allowed me to make more money, save more money, and leverage, you know, the opportunity that I'm in because I'm now in a house living for free with no car payment. So y'all can do this. It can be done. So I give you a lot of backstory on things, but I just want you guys to really understand what a power that this can really do for you. So your mortgage based on Zillow, and let me get the calculator out for you guys. Okay, it's the move for me. All right. So our mortgage is 1,076. And let's say you can rent each side for 12. And I'll show you guys how to find what you can rent the spot for. But let's say you can rent this each side for 1,200. You live on one side. You live on this side. Your tenant lives on that side. They're paying you 1,200. Subtract that 1,076. Bam, you keeping 124. You're making $124 and you're eliminating whatever rent you are paying. Now, like I told you, most people in Rochester are not paying 1,076. They're paying at least 1,200, 1,300, depending on where they're living. So, bam, you just eliminated your rent doing this. This house looks to be pretty renovated. It's in a good area. I have a property not far from here. Yeah, this is a real good area. We got a couple properties around here. We live not far from here. So you're in a great area right by the airport. Bam. You're making $124 and you're saving $1,076. Whatever your rent was, even if it was 1,500, you're now no longer paying 1,500. So whatever you were doing, to make that $1,500, I'm sure you still are going to continue to do that. Whatever your rent amount is, you can continue to do that, but just put that money in the account because you no longer have to pay that to anybody. So keep keep acting like you have to pay somebody. So put that $1,500 or $1,200 in that account. Keep paying yourself and add that $124 to it. And let's say you want to treat yourself a little bit. So let's just say you put $1,000 away and use that $500. You know, maybe you owe student loans or you need a new car. I can take care of your car payment, but at least keep $1,000. Some of that money that you were paying for rent, put that money in the account, especially account that earns some interest. But that's another video. And bam, you got some money for your next property or for your next business or whatever venture you want to do because you're living for free. And this house is a little more than I would want to spend, but it's still a good deal. It's renovated, looks pretty nice, updated kitchen. I love these floors. I think I use these floors in one of my properties. They sanded the floors. Looks to be updated windows. So this will be a great property for you guys for somebody to start out with. And I mean, it's like new windows. And this is actually a good way to get started because this house looks like it needs no renovations at all. Like brand new bathroom. They did a good job. Sand the floors, stained them. The other side looks like it's needs a little bit work, and it looks like somebody's living in there. So, and that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you will inherit tenants, which means that they come with the property when you buy, so you have to honor their lease. They might be on they might have a year left, or you might caught them at the end of the lease. Sometimes when you buy a house with a tenant in it, the tenant might be a month-to-month lease. So those things vary, but it's not always a bad situation. One thing we like to do is get a feel for the tenant, and if we like them, offer them the opportunity to stay once their lease is done. But they have to pay whatever. Like say they were paying $800, but we know we can rent the spot for 1,200. If they're okay with paying that difference and we don't have any issue with them, we let them stay. If not, we get them out. We make proper renovations to their apartment and increase the rent to $1,200. And in this case, I would consider updating their kitchen if they decided not to stay, and I would put some better looking appliances in there. And and of course, we show you guys how to go and figure out how much that stuff would cost and give you our strategies on how we determine our renovations. But overall, this place is still pretty good. The floors are nice. Um, Looks like there might need to be some floors Floor might need to be sanded in some of these rooms. It's a pretty small room, but yeah, so this is a great property, a good property to start out with. And the beautiful thing about getting duplexes, I want to say too, guys, is that it allows you to fill out if this is for you. Because this might not be your thing. You might not like it. You might not like dealing with people. You might not like getting calls about things being broken. You might not like just dealing with, somebody living above you, next to you. Um, it might not be for you, and that's okay. This is allows you to fill it out. And the good thing about this is you don't have to keep this house. If you decide you don't like it, you do it for a couple of year or two. I'm more than certain the house have grown in value. You can sell it and maybe make 15,000, 20,000, and you can, do something else. Or if you do like it, you now have the experience. If you take our program, of course, you'll know, how to find properties at a good price. You'll know how we collect rent using some rental programs. One of them is Turbo Tenant, or allows us to collect rent while we're out the country or wherever. Like right now, we're in Georgia, which is why my setup is a little different if you watch my videos, and it allows us just the freedom to not have to chase people down for money. They get notifications on when it's time to pay. If they have maintenance issues, they can send a request on the app. So we've been doing this for a long time, so we know the ins and outs of it. But needless to say, if you like it and want to do this, it will allow you to then scale. So now once you're done living in this duplex or wherever you stay, you can now you can either stay in this duplex or you can buy another house and do it all over again. You might not be able to, get the same type of, incentives that you got with this house, but you can still, get another house. You can get a single family. You might just want to get a single family and then continue to invest in properties after that, because that's kind of what we did. We bought our duplexes and we bought a couple single families. We bought our main house, and now we just, you know, continue to invest in real estate, but we don't have to live in it. But I know my godfather, who actually found out has property, he still lives in his duplex, and he's been living in there actually for a while, a long time. So, bam, it's something that you can do. It's up to you on what you're comfortable with, but this gives you options. So that's what this is all about, options. So I wanted to look at something with this property because I think this would be a good house, like for somebody to start out with. So I want to see if we can find out what the other side is paying for rent. Um, okay, great for office. Yeah, it's a perfect investment. I actually agree. This is a really good investment property to start with. It's a little more than I wanted to pay for it if I was, starting out back when I was. But in this market, in this point in time, I think it's a great deal. It's renovated. Um, so just reading through it, gorgeous. You know, each has its own furnace, hot water tank, laundry hookups. Occupy unit is rented for 1,100 a month. That's actually not bad because like I told you guys, I felt like this probably can rent for at least 1,200. They're paying 1,100, so you're right under 100. So you can be like, hey, tenant A, uh, if you want to stay here, I know you're on the lease and your lease is ending in 3 months. You're more than welcome to stay. But after those 3 months, rent will go to 1,200. How do you feel about that? Would you be willing to stay? Do you want to leave? And depending on the situation, I actually may let them stay. I mean, doing a kitchen, um, you probably spend like 4,000. Certain things you have to think about, will it be worth it to make an extra $100? So actually, I would actually let them stay if they were good, if they were a good tenant, if they were paying on time. You can find that information out when you buy in the house. I would actually try to find out, is this person going to stay? Is this person been paying on time? Do they want to stay? How do they feel? What are some of the issues they've been having? Has the prior owner, taken care of certain things? And that may be your way to get that $1,200 as well. I can be like, hey, do you want to stay or do you want to leave? If they say, I do want to stay, but the old owner, they weren't fixing my plumbing issues, my toilet's not working right, my sink is bad. I'm like, okay, well, after 3 months, I'll definitely fix those things now because you want to be a good landlord. That's one thing we are strong about, and we recommend anybody that's doing this is to be a good landlord. Be a good landlord because you will want a good landlord. You will want somebody to take care of you, your family, your mom, if they're renting. So put that out there, and also it's good business. This is a business. This You are a business owner, and this is one of the most guaranteed income business that you can get in because everybody needs somewhere to live. So provide somebody a good living place, make sure things are fixed and updated and working, and you should expect to get paid, consistently on time, for the rent that you're demanding because you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're providing quality housing. So you should be able to expect to get paid, on time. So, you put that good karma out there. But either way, I will ask that person if they want to stay, they can stay. I'll make sure your unit is fixed up. I'll replace whatever's broken, not working, you know, but the rent will increase at this price, and see how that goes. It's something to consider, but that's just one of the things that you can do. That's one of the beautiful things about real estate. But if they want to leave, let them leave, and then you can fix it up, add little things, update certain things, and they're even saying that rent is projected at 1250. So yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. So I'm gonna show you guys a platform that I use, to help me determine what rent should be. And this is just like an estimate. Excuse me. I use this to give me an idea. I don't always stick to it because I know my own market, but if I was moving to somewhere different, it's something that I would consider. So it's called rental. I call it rental meter. I've heard it being called retometer. But in my eyes, it's rental meter. If it's not, forgive me. So I copy and paste the address. 27 Stanfield. And it's 2 bedrooms on each side, right? 2 bedrooms. Because even though it's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, remember that's for the whole unit in total. So each side has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Just because that could be a little confusing. So one, and this is an apartment. So what rental meter does is it checks the rents in a specific area and of a radius of whatever you set it to, and it basically compares the rents towards this property. So I really like this. It's free for I think your first 5 checks, and then after that you have to pay. But it's a good platform. It helps you just get a ballpark on, if this property is profitable, how much can I make? If I rent it for this price, am I high, am I low, am I in the middle? It's a good gauge to help you decide, how am I with my rent amounts? So I definitely recommend that to you guys. So yeah, so we're gonna go check rents. All right, so based on this, it's saying average rent is about 1044, which, like I said, 1100 is where I would go with it. Um, Median is 986. And yeah, so it gives you an idea. If you get the pro version, you get a little more information. You can I think it allows you to see what these actual prices are. But I just like this because it gives me an idea of what I can expect a 2 bedroom to rent for in this area. So, that's all I got, guys. I hope this video was good. I hope it helps you guys get an idea on how to get started, how you can, find a profitable property. And this is just one of them. There's so many, other ones in other areas, but this is where I would buy if I was starting out. Because it's a perfect size, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. I really like 3 bedrooms, but you take what you can get sometimes, and that's what you do. You make it work. And this is a solid house. So if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Check out our Real Freedom to sorry about that. Please check out our real estate masterclass. It's in the link below. Please check it out when you guys get a chance. If you guys are interested, Yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.